Perhaps we should start with you telling us a little about yourself.
I like English cookery, English beer, French red wine, Spanish white wine, Indian tea, strong tobacco, coal fire, candlelight, and comfortable chairs.
Go on.
I dislike big towns, noise, the motor car, the radio, tinned food, and central heating.
Interestingly...
And modern furniture.
Quite.
All writers are vain, selfish, and lazy. And at the bottom of their motives there lies a mystery.
And so you have no control over what you write?
Writing a book is a horrible, exhausting struggle. Like a long bout with some painful illness. One would never undertake such a thing if one were not driven by some demon one can neither resist nor fully comprehend.
1984, with its thought police, Room 101 and Big Brother, has given us a language with which we can defy oppression. What demon drove you to dream up 1984?
I do not think one can assess a writer's motives without knowing something of his early development. His subject matter will be determined by the age in which he lives. But before he ever begins to write, he will have acquired an emotional attitude from which he will never completely escape. From a very early age, perhaps the age of 5 or 6, I knew that when I grew up I should be a writer. Between the ages of about 17 and 24, in Burma, I tried to abandon this idea, but I did so in the consciousness that I was outraging my true nature, and that sooner or later I would have to settle down and write books.
But at this stage you were still Eric Blair, and the brand of literature that you first attempted was the polar opposite of 1984.
At that time, I wanted to write enormous naturalistic novels with unhappy endings, full of detailed descriptions and arresting similes, and also full of purple passages. I spent 5 years in an unsuitable profession, the Indian Imperial Police in Burma. I then underwent poverty and a sense of failure. This increased my natural hatred of authority, but these experiences were not enough to give me an accurate political orientation. Using the word political in the widest possible sense, desire to push the world in a certain direction, to alter other people's idea of the kind of society they should strive after.
So you were, by your early 30s, a political writer?
No book is completely free of political bias. The Spanish War turned the scale, and thereafter I knew where I stood. Every line of serious work that I've written since 1936 has been written, directly or indirectly, against totalitarianism. In a more peaceful age, I might have written ornate or merely descriptive books. As it is, I've been forced into becoming a sort of pamphleteer. Animal Farm was the first book in which I tried, with full consciousness of what I was doing, to fuse political purpose and artistic purpose into one whole.
Some say politics has no place in art.
The opinion that art should have nothing to do with politics is itself a political attitude. What I most wanted was to turn political writing into an art. I do not think that the kind of society I describe will arrive, but that something resembling it could arrive, and that totalitarianism, if not fought against, could triumph anywhere. I think that allowing for the book being, after all, a parody, something like 1984 could actually happen. This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, There will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. The sex instinct will be eradicated. We shall abolish the orgasm. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
What's going on, everyone? It's Nina Infinity. Welcome to my channel on this Wednesday night for Breaking the Narrative. I will be joined in a little while with the Quartering. Jeremy from the Quartering is coming to the channel, and I'm so happy and excited to be talking to him finally. One-on-one is always good. We kind of did the unofficial meeting on a couple of other live streams where it was a bit chaotic. So it's always nice to do a little one-on-one and actually get to know someone, on a different note. So that's going to be really fun and exciting to talk to him about. I'm really, really happy about it. I've been going through a lot of my life recently. I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware. And it's been a crazy, crazy week. Last night, yesterday evening, my best friends in Mexico got married, and we ended up going to their house afterwards after they got married, and they had a huge party, and I was there for quite a while because Mexicans, when they party, they go all night. We were partying till 6 a.m. So when I got up today, I was like, oh my God, it's a crazy time. It's a crazy time to be alive. I feel like every day is I don't know. It just feels like time is sped up, slowed down. I can't really even tell anymore because there's just so much news drop all one day. And the interesting part about all of it is just listening to that intro and listening to George Orwell talk about totalitarianism and how it's affected our life right now. It's really reflective of the times that we live in, and just going into it, looking at what's going on with Canada and what happened with Trudeau today. It's just such a wild time to be alive. I feel blessed to be here at this time because I feel like I'm constantly witnessing history in the making. And I think that history has been made several times now when it comes to Canada. Canada has, with the trucker convoy especially, when it started, it was unprecedented. Nothing ever like it has ever happened before. I don't think in my lifetime anyway, it hasn't happened. The way, how peaceful it was and how greatly, it was the workers had finally had enough, and how it impacted the Canadians was it was something I never thought would happen. And it was something that made me really happy because I felt like at least they're doing something finally. And when Trudeau declared the Emergencies Act, it was funny because of how George Orwell said, like, when you feel that boot, on your neck, and the totalitarianism, and how he decided to, like, arm the police and sent them in to basically attack the protesters, because before that, the protesters were not violent. They weren't doing anything that required that level of action. And when he did that, and when he everyone was freaking out that he was going to send in the military, but he didn't really need to send in the military, because he militarized the police. Like, the police just went in there like goons, and they literally beat up protesters, used tear gas, batons, like, what have you, to get rid of these people who are just there and making some noise, and finally doing that. And then today, lo and behold, he comes out and says that he's revoking the Emergencies Act, and it's been a wild ride, to say the least, and it's just been it's kind of I don't know how to put it into words, other than just saying that it's just it blows my mind. It blows my mind, where we are now and where we were just a couple weeks ago. But I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Hello, everybody out there. I see you in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please smash the like, share the stream. Jeremy's going to be with us very shortly. He's just running a little late. He let me know that he's just running late, and he will be here soon. So I'm just taking a moment to talk to you guys, my audience, because I love my chat. I love you guys, and you guys have always been there for me. And uh, I was part of the chat. In fact, actually, like, that's how, my YouTube journey started, in the chat, just like you guys, and in Jeremy's chat, especially because before I even met Nerdrotic, I was a fan of Jeremy, because my husband used to watch his videos, and he introduced me to the quartering, and I used to watch his videos, and I thought he was a really interesting guy. And I emailed him a couple times way before I had a YouTube channel. I don't even know if you'll remember that. But we've had a couple really interesting exchanges. And I've always thought that Jeremy was a very stand-up guy. And one of the things that knew about that I think that Jeremy is a very interesting person to me, because he always, since I started watching his stuff, like, I can see his growth and how he's changed as a YouTuber and as a person, and how he's owned up to his mistakes, and how he like continuously changes as a person, and for the better, in my opinion. And he's helped a lot of people that I know of personally, and especially a lot of women in this community. And I feel like he's always a little bit unfairly categorized under a certain, I don't know what you want to call it, label or whatever. And my experience with him has always been very different. He interestingly, several years ago, he made a couple of he made a couple of videos on a topic that had to do with Trump and his like his killing of Soleimani at the time. And you guys know me, I'm Persian, and I'm very close to that kind of thing. And I remember Jeremy made a video about something to do with that, and I very, very harshly disagreed with him, and I wrote a very, like, passionate email, describing how I was so upset with his take. And he he emailed me back, and he said, yeah, sorry, I guess I went a little too spicy on that one. And but I've always thought that he's always been really respectful, and I feel like that's something and since then he's always taken a step back. He listens to his audience. I think that those things are really good qualities to have as a human being in general, but especially as a YouTuber, because you have to understand your audience, and you have to understand sometimes some things are going to be taken a different way or misunderstood and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, look at the guy's channel, right? He's got like 1 million subscribers. I think he knows the key to success, if you will. So I think that he's an interesting guy. I'm looking forward to having this conversation. So while we wait for him to arrive, though, I'm gonna like point out something that I just saw that I thought was really, really funny. Um, Hold on a second here. Where did it go? Maybe I'll bring it up later when the quartering gets here, because I saw this and I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" With regards to COVID and video games, because I know Jeremy's like really into video games. Where did it go? I just had it up here. Hold on. It probably is in my bookmarks because I think I bookmarked it. There it is. Yes, I found it. Thank God I was smart. All right, here it is. I mean, these headlines, some of these headlines are next level. So like from Twitter, USA Today, shout out to Cat Turd. They always have great content. Video games, this is before before COVID. Video games addiction is officially considered a mental disorder. Who says? That's the headline before COVID. And then during COVID, who says playing playing video games as a healthy social pastime during the coronavirus pandemic? Yeah. Uh, oh my. like look at the difference, right? It's just like the idea that these these journos they're always like trying to it's just so funny. It's like no, never mind, video games are good for you because we've trapped you all in your house and you can't really go outside. Who organization is recommending video games as a good way of staying socially active but safe during the coronavirus crisis? And here they're saying the World Health Organization made video games addiction an official disorder in which recurrent gaming causes negative consequences. Well, which is it? Which is it? Are we good to socialize online, playing video games, or are we becoming negatively impacted and having all these different, it's causing all these different consequences? Well, I can tell you from my end, having played video games online and being active online all the time, I mean, like being part of the fellowship, being, a YouTuber now, interacting with all you awesome people in the chat, like Madge Mac over here, who's become a member. Thank you, Madge Mac. People like this, and knowing and talking to people online has been a huge boost for my morale for a very long time, long before COVID was a thing. I was into gaming, I was into talking to people online, and it's always been something that has been a good thing, socially speaking. And I think that this is just I mean, they just broke the narrative on themselves here. That's just so stupid. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. People are saying that oh my God, you guys are hilarious in the chat. I mean, it's funny because the WHO comes out and says weird things all the time. I saw this other thing today that I was like, it's just so funny with regards to COVID, how many things are being continuously, they're breaking the narrative on themselves because the narrative is breaking with regards to COVID all the time. And I saw this thing today and I laughed again because I was like, is this for real? And of course it is for real. This chick from CNN, I mean, she's been an advocate for masking kids in school, keeping the schools shut, just the most ridiculous takes that you could ever hear from Leanna Wen, MD. She's been at it for so long. And today she tweets out, new study shows that COVID school closures affected cognitive and motor development in preschoolers. Learning loss is most pronounced in kids most at risk. No shit, lady. No shit. We've been saying this for like 2 years, and Twitter and YouTube were gonna kick us off the freaking social medias because we were saying stuff like this. By the way, YouTube, just so you know, I am not a medical doctor. Everybody in the chat, I'm not a medical doctor. All opinions on this channel are my own, and consult with your doctor whether you want to do anything. But here though, this is really funny because she's all like, "Oh my god, like, I guess like." I guess COVID is like really like impacted kids in like a negative way. Wait, let's listen to what she has to say. Hold on. Here we go.
Beyond this study is sobering, but not at all surprising. We know that school has benefit for children, and therefore
Really?
when kids are pulled out of school, and
We know that school has a benefit for children.
also with the
Please.
uncertainty of not knowing when they're going to go back, that has detrimental impacts, certainly on
Really?
emotional well-being, on stress, including of the parents and caregivers who
Why is she saying it's so happy? Like, what, dude? The pause face on this lady right now. But like, why is she saying this in like such a happy way? Like, we know that it like attributes to like stress and like all this stuff. Like, look at her; she's like in glee.
parents and caregivers who now don't know what to do about working at the same time. But also now we see that there are very specific impacts on cognitive development, on motor,
Really?
and other milestones for children.
How many studies did you need to do to figure that shit out? Lady, I don't know where you got your medical degree from, but
Also,
It's
we
probably
see that there are
fucking
huge
back
disparities
alley.
in the study, that those parents and families that are the most vulnerable, most disadvantaged, are the ones that are hurt the most. And so at this point, we really need policies that aim to keep children in school.
Really?
Perhaps, for example, not having quarantine if children are exposed, having test to stay or other programs. And we also need to be
Test
attentive
to
to these
stay.
long-term consequences.
Did you hear that? Test to stay. Like, it's so funny because while she's walking it back, she's introducing these ideas at the same time. She's dropping these seeds of like, hey, test to stay. We're going to start testing your kids. They're going to start shoving that shit down your kid's throat while their mask is on. Cause that's going to shove that shit up your kid's nose because they're going to do test to stay. Yeah, because that's what parents really want
To these
for
long-term
their kids, right?
consequences, can we work to close these rampant and wide educational disparities?
Mm.
You and I are both the
You know how we stop all that is by stop listening to you, you fucking weirdo freak. God. McQueen for $2. Thank you so much. That is hilarious. That icon is hilarious. How does missing school affect motor control? Well, it does because kids are, from what I understand, from childhood development, kids are very susceptible to understanding like different facial expressions, how to pick stuff up, different things, experiences. Children learn through experiences. So if you're stopping them having experiences, they're going to, suffer the consequences. How does missing school affect their motor control? That's how, because, maybe they're not going to get as much attention at home. Maybe maybe parents are, busy with work or other things, and they can't, they can't pay attention to their kids as much or whatever. There's definite consequences of all of it. And there's definitely studies coming out showing all of this. I mean, I didn't need the studies to tell me that. I just used my, brain, but whatever. It is what it is, I guess. But thanks for the $2. But yeah, I just think that this lady and everyone like her needs to just, I don't know, stop it. Stop it. It's just wild to me. McQueen for another $2 says staying home playing video games improves motor controls. That's also true because of the hand-eye coordination. Not necessarily the staying home part, but playing video games does improve motor control. Now it depends on what kind of kid, like how old the kids are, right? Because I don't again, I'm not a medical expert and I'm not a child psychologist, but I personally, if I had a child, I wouldn't let them be playing video games or on the internet or even like barely any screen time really for quite a while. Like I wouldn't. I'm not a advocate of screen time for toddlers. I think that that's a detrimental thing to them, personally. So, I mean, everybody is entitled to raise their kids the way they want to, but I would be way more into, um, things uh, like book learning and things like that, like everything like that. That's physical, physical manifestations of like the physical thing. I think that those things are a lot more beneficial to kids learning than video games and screen time. Of course, as they grow older, we're talking about a totally different thing. There's, you know what I mean? Like, every age is always different. So, and every age group is always different, but also every child is different. Because I'm not an advocate of thinking that a child, because like they're 2 years old, have to be counted as 2 years old. Some 2-year-olds act and grow up more mature, and same with every other age, I think. So you have to really assess the situation based on the child and what they respond to, how they respond to learning. You have to know your kids, and that's, some people don't want to get to know their kids, I guess. I don't know. It's difficult. Yes, exactly. Book, toys, play, tangible things. Exactly. McQueen for 2 books. Thank you so much. Says they have to learn about futas sometime. Futas? I don't know what futas is. It's going way over my head. I don't know what that means. But thank you. Valhalla Christ for 5 books says, get your kids out of public schools and away from crackheads in the state indoctrination system. I could not agree with you more on that, because I'm a big advocate for homeschooling, and understanding that there's all sorts of different options for homeschooling, like community schools and like different things like that, like where you can get together, and co-op schools or whatever, where parents get together and do like their own versions of homeschooling, but with a group. And those things can be really, really beneficial to children. And I think that especially public schools are a crazy, what you just said. Like, it's just all about indoctrination now, whether you're talking about CRT to identity politics to what's it called, like the idea of sex and all those things. Like, they're just, ugh. I mean, have you guys seen like those things that libs of TikTok post about like some real teachers coming out and saying the most bizarre things you've ever heard, and you're like, oh, kids are getting this as a teacher? Oh my God. Like, it's cringe. It's really, really cringe. Yeah. Pervert teachers too. That's also a thing. Um, I don't, if I was to have kids, if I ever had kids, I would definitely either homeschool or, like I said, community school. You figure it out, but I'm a big advocate for that. I actually did a big, show on education with Teresa Martin, who is a teacher, and a bunch of other people, Script Doctor, Jane Theory. We did a whole breaking narrative thing on the education system, and how it's like the whole COVID thing is impacting kids. So actually, that's one of the breaking the narrative ones. I think it was one of the earlier ones, either three or four, the show. So that's a really interesting one that I highly recommend people to watch, because that was a really interesting discussion on education and what's going on in our society with regards to like all these things, like indoctrination of kids, and it's a big deal. So it's definitely a big deal, and it needs to be addressed. Because otherwise, I mean, what the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing any of this for, right? I mean, we're doing this all for kids, and I think that it's a wild time to be alive, like I said. You guys want to hear something funny? here's something else that I saw right now that I was like, are you kidding me? This is hilarious. From the CTV, which should be called like basically communist TV. Freaking, this is CTV is one of the like the CBC. They're like the MSNBC of Canada. It's like that's how I can put it. But it says Ottawa is redoing Valentine's Day on March 14th because of the Convoy protests. And I tweeted out, can we redo the last 2 years? Because what in the hell does this even mean? Like, how do you they're just gonna put like hearts everywhere and like just just pretend things never happened. Let's check this out. What the hell are they even talking about? I haven't even read this. I just saw the headline and I was like, you guys are fucking bonkers. Because how about the last 2 years of our lives? Can we get that back? Ottawa's redoing Valentine's Day on March 14th because of the Convoy protest. I guess all those single people that hate Valentine's Day are going to hate their lives even more. Did you forget Valentine's Day this year or wish you had celebrated it differently? If you live in Ottawa, you have a rare chance at a do-over. Could we have a rare chance at a do-over for the last 2 years? Ottawa City Council unanimously approved a motion to redo Valentine's Day on March 14th this year in the wake of the 3-week Freedom Convoy protests that took over the city's downtown. What do you guys want to bet? Some of these people probably forgot Valentine's Day and were in the doghouse from their wife or something, and their wife is like, "Fuck you, you're not getting shit from me. So you might as well go fuck yourselves." And they're like, "Fuck, man, we need to redo Valentine's Day." Our heart-shaped city needs a little love, said Kuhn. Wait, this guy's name is Kuhn? Matthew Fleury, who presented the motion. Okay. I'm telling you, this guy's in the doghouse. The protests and occupation streets in downtown Ottawa forced many restaurants and businesses to close during Valentine's Day, a busy period for local businesses. You know what else caused them to close down businesses? Government mandates. That was why the truckers were there. But you're not going to talk about that, are you, CTV? Nah, you're not. Ottawa's healing from the recent downtown occupation. It was a bunch of trucks honking their horns. The noise. Sorry. Ottawa's healing. God, it's such a gash. It's such a big wound from all those, burning buildings and broken windows and fucking cars on fire and shit. Oh wait, no, never mind. That was all the BLM protests. Ours was a giant party. So Ottawa's healing from the recent downtown occupation, which overran the heart of our city for 3 weeks. Fleury said, noting that Valentine's Day was not the same for downtown businesses because of the protests. There was a significant impact to Ottawa businesses. Bitch, please. The motion directs the city's communications and economic development staff to work with local biatches maybe, and Ottawa tourism to promote and encourage residents to shop, stay, and dine local during the weekend leading up to and on March 14th. Come spend your money again and consume. Buy more marked up fucking products of heart-shaped shit. We still have them all from before fucking COVID or whatever. Yes, he is. He will be here soon. He'll be here soon. Hi, Jane. I see you. Jane Theory says the BLM protests in Louisiana were giant parties. LOL. Everywhere wasn't Portland. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I know in other places though that BLM protests were really crazy too, like DC and other places. But you Louisiana folks over there always party though, Jane. You can't count yourself in with everybody else. You're like the Mexicans. Mexican party till like all night. You guys are the same way. You just party. That's the thing. Your culture is different. You can't nah. Nah. Come on. You guys have Mardi Gras. No. No. See, Louisiana are basically Mexicans. It's true. It's true. Oh my God. People are saying the quartering is late and gay. Well, he's definitely late. I don't know about gay, but he's late. Let's see. Welcome to, let's see. It shows that all the city, all of the residents, regardless of where they live, are concerned about what happened in our core and all want to pull together to bring some positivity back to the city. Well, I'm all about positivity, but I feel like the protests itself were positive. I don't think the way these people do. Support the businesses. Nothing said in a noting a constituent is in his ward proposed the idea of the Valentine's Day in March. This person was in the doghouse. They forgot Valentine's Day and didn't buy their wife a present. I'm telling you, these people always do things for selfish reasons. This has nothing to do with showing love into the city. This has everything to do with getting nookie because you forgot Valentine's Day. That's what happened. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, guys. I just found out that apparently people are saying that World War III is here, boys, because I guess Russia started invading Ukraine or something like that. I'm not quite aware about the situation here. Let's see. Russia. I'm gonna go to RT. That's probably a good place to go to. Putin announced a special operation in Donbass. Let's see here. I wasn't planning on talking about Ukraine and Russia all that much because I'm not quite familiar with this topic. But since this is breaking news, let's see here. Putin announces special operation in Donbass. The special military operation will be aimed at the defense of the newly recognized republics of Donetsk and Lugansk. God, I can't even pronounce words. So Putin has announced he ordered his country's military to conduct special operations here after leaders of the breakaway republic asked Moscow for military assistance in response to what they claim is an increase in Ukrainian aggression. Circumstances require us to take a divisive and imminent action, the order reads. The People's Republic of Donbass turned to Russia with a request for help in this regard, in accordance with Article 51, Part 7 of the UN Charter, with the sanction of Federation Council and the pursuance of the friendship treaties ratified by the Federal Assembly and mutual assistance with Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics, I have decided to conduct a special military operation, Putin concludes. At the time, in the address to the public, Putin said that he wanted to demilitarize and denazify? What? Denazify? Ukraine. Damn. That's an interesting word to use. I would use that word about Trudeau, but okay. According to him, we have no plans to occupy Ukraine territory. With moments of the speech, a series of explosions were reported in cities across Ukraine, with CNN purporting to hear a blast in the capital, Kiev. See, I don't believe anything CNN has to say ever, so I am sus. The decision comes after the day after Moscow recognizes the independence of. Yeah, see, I heard about this that Moscow recognized the independence of these places, break away from Republic of Donbass, alleging that Kiev had not lived up to its obligations under the Minsk agreements struck in 2014 and 2015. But I guess things have escalated. Yikes. I guess we'll see what happens. I feel like I never trust anything any of these people have to say with regards to especially like CNN and anything like this. So I guess we're gonna have to find out what happens. Let's see here. Jane Theory for $5 says Russia's invading. What do you think the West should do, if anything? I don't think the West should do anything. I think they should. You got to clean your own house. That's what I think. Especially like when Trudeau came and said yesterday that they stand with Ukraine because they stand against totalitarianism with that fucking smirk on his face. I was just like, are you kidding me right now? To me, it's just that they're all hypocrites. I don't think that they should do anything. I think that is something that they should handle themselves. It's between Ukraine and Russia, and I don't think that the U.S. should get involved. Personally, I don't think the U.S. should get involved in anything ever. That is not where I stand with things. Just give me a second here. Thank you so much, Ruben, Christopher Haynes, for your membership. I appreciate that. And talking about invading, here's Jeremy from the Quartering. Hi.
Hey, I'm so sorry.
No worries, man. It's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Don't worry. You are just in time because apparently things have gotten extremely spicy in Ukraine.
Yeah, I've been following it a little bit. Just so everyone knows why I was late, and then they'll feel bad for being mad. So, I have this friend. He's really the only friend I have in the city where I live. I live in a small town, and it's hard to relate to people. And then around Christmas, he just kind of disappeared. And I didn't really know why or what was going on. I found out later that he had cancer. So then, and he had multiple surgeries. The thing is with this guy is everybody knows him, everybody loves him, and so he was out tonight, and he sent me a text, and I haven't heard from him forever, and he's like, hey, do you want to grab a drink? And I was like, shit, yes, I do, but also I said I would be on this podcast. So Nina was very understanding, and as a thank you, I'm going to post this to a YouTube. I'm going to create a post. Maybe.
Of course, man. I completely understand. I just lost my father Friday, so I understand. Last Friday, and I understand. Time is man, time is all we have. So if your friend who's going through something like that that's what they ask for, you have to give it to them, because otherwise what does it all mean? I that's why I completely understand. And there's friends and family come first to me always. But Jeremy, I actually really appreciate you being here even before this happened. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this, because I know that you're a busy guy and you're constantly being hounded about being sexist, and to be on my channel, and you're constantly being hounded about being a grifter too. So I don't know, to be on my small channel that's run by a woman. I don't really know what is in it for you, but either way, I really appreciate it. So
yeah, I don't know exactly what my grift is. I feel like that term is excruciatingly overused. I think that it's like a term for a creator that I don't like. Like there's no like when people say that to me, it's like is so when you say it's a grift, it's like is the implication that I don't believe what I say? Because to me, that's kind of like a defining factor of what is a grift. It's like somebody who's a fake, like Ian Miles Chong or something like that, who's just in it for the money and doesn't really have any political stance or morals or anything. And so for me, the implication is that I don't believe what I say, which is absurd. There's no evidence to the contrary. So when like somebody says that, I'm always like, oh, okay. Sweet,
Well,
you know?
as someone who's been watching your channel for a long time, it's been many years, Jeremy, that I've been a fan of your channel. I think that I don't know if you listened to me earlier, like I was vamping earlier and kind of like sharing my story about how I was kind of like introduced to your channel by my husband, and I was watching you for a while, and one of the things I noticed about you as a person and as a YouTuber is that you always, like, to me, I've always noticed this like growth in you as a person, because you admit when you're wrong and you usually like try to rectify it or basically change your behavior like over time. Like you're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And you like learn from your experiences. And I guess, I guess I'll put this question to you because now you're such a big content creator on YouTube, like you have 1 million subscribers. And I'm wondering if you tell us a little bit about your journey and like, because I know you kind of started out with Magic the Gathering stuff and gaming stuff. And then you went through like covering up culture, like the pop culture stuff, Culture Wars, The Last Jedi, and like Captain Marvel. But like looking back on everything, what advice would you give like new content creators now? Or like if you could go back and give yourself advice about how to like handle adversaries and haters, what would you tell yourself?
That's a heavy question to start off with, but I think if like part of what you're asking is like indirectly, is there anything I regret? And I think that for me, yeah, of course, there's a lot that I regret. In terms of probably early in my career, you see like it's funny because like people like make videos about me now to totally pwn me,
Mhm.
and they're always using clips from my old set,
Always.
which is like from freaking years ago.
Mhm.
This dude put together like a couple videos recently. Like every clip for the most part is like from 5 years ago. And
Yep.
I'm like, okay, so that's actually, I look at that and I'm like, okay, like that's all you have is, there was time when I was early in my, YouTube career, I was probably too aggressive.
Mhm.
Because I didn't necessarily understand what it's like to be on the receiving end and not be a complete heartless asshole like I am. Like there were a lot of women that I criticized early that I would make comments about their appearance. This isn't something I do anymore.
Yeah.
Or I actively try to not do it. And I wish I hadn't done that, because that haunts me. There are things I became educated on, hot button issues that I saw as binary at the time that uh, I've now accepted are just not binary. But
Mhm.
like the reality is, that's what happens when you grow up in front of a camera. A lot of these videos are freaking 4, 5, 6 years old.
Mhm.
I don't feel that way anymore. So I think when I look back in terms of advice, I think that all you can really do is try to be authentic and try to be like the best you that you can be, but also like acknowledging that you've grown or that you have a past that like you shouldn't try to deny. So like when people will post these old clips of me, it's like, yeah, I said it 6 years ago and it was messed up. I
Mhm.
shouldn't have called that woman a whore just because, I felt like with this or whatever. Like, um, nobody ever has any problems with me saying horrible things about men. It's always only, specifically about
Always.
comments I've made about women. I've made far more spicy comments about men than I've ever made about women, but no one seems to care about that.
No.
So, I think looking back at it all, I think, part of it is just enjoying the journey and being able to like look inward and understand that we're all kind of works in progress. And there are things I've said, in the past that I don't agree with, but I also don't let people nail me to that cross either, because they're coming from a position of, in my opinion, bad faith. The idea that you said this thing 3 years ago, please answer for it now, when all you'd really have to do is look at my current content and see that I don't talk like that anymore.
Well, it's interesting because that's exactly kind of like what happened with the whole Joe Rogan thing, kind of like a couple weeks ago too, like with that whole like, oh, he said the N word, like, through his podcast, like, and somebody like made that compilation video. And I feel like that's what you go through all the time is people like make like weird compilation videos of you being like sexist or like whatever.
Yeah,
Or like
there's a
saying
video
like,
called the quartering's views on LGBTQ. The quartering's like real views on the LGBTQ community or something like that.
mhm,
People constantly send it to my sponsors, and it's like hilarious how old it is,
mhm.
and it's like all out of context. Some of the stuff is cringy, but most of the stuff is actually fine, and I still stand by it. But like, people hold on to that, and then this is the caricature. This is the person that they've thought that you are. It's like there's something to like the Tim Pool method of not really engaging a lot of people that are coming at you in bad faith, because they almost always are.
Mhm.
It would be hypocritical for me to say like, like I don't expect Ethan Klein to watch one of my videos making fun of Ethan Klein and then really seek some introspection and make himself a better man. No,
Mhm.
I'm just memeing on him. I don't care. I think Ethan Klein is a garbage human, but I don't expect him to take my criticism of him as in good faith. I just am memeing on him.
Mhm.
So, I think that as long as you focus on like improving or changing your own behavior, you don't necessarily have to like listen to the noise so much.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. And that's something that I'm trying to do too is like to not listen to the noise because there's always, a small group of people making like a lot of noise and you're just kind of like, okay, like I'm just going to let this roll off my shoulder or whatever. Because if you actually like again, if you pay attention to people's content and then see it over time, you'll see like how people change or don't, or like they either stay stagnant or change for the better or change for the worse. Like you said, like about Ethan, right? Like Ethan Klein, I feel like he used to have a much more kind of like chilled out, uh, you know, outlook on things, and now he's completely gone like the other way, like the way what he did with like Jordan Peterson, and now he was like, I'm taking off your shit off my platform and like blah blah blah, and it's just like, the fuck are you doing, Ethan? Like,
Well, I think what that kind of behavior is indicative of, or that it kind of it kind of like reveals, is
mhm,
that Ethan Klein never really held any of those positions he claimed to hold during like his heydays of like humongous and all these other things. He was
mhm,
never really like an anti cancel culture, anti SJW guy. I don't believe he ever was, because if he
mhm,
was, then he would never have been put out these cringy tweets saying, well, I'm putting my foot down after I've accepted all of the millions of views and thousands of dollars in revenue of this, but I'm really putting my foot down. But no, bro, like, like you obviously didn't believe that at the time. Either you
mhm,
didn't believe what you said then, or you don't believe what you're saying now. One of the
mhm,
two things must be true. They're diametrically opposed.
mhm.
And if Ethan Klein really felt so bad about interviewing Jordan Peterson, he would have donated that revenue he made from all of those videos to, I don't know, trans charities or whatever the hell he was trying to virtue signal for.
Yeah, and I think that that's what exactly like that means to be in bad faith. Like I feel like Ethan Klein is in bad faith, like and he's shown himself to be like that for a while. Whereas in like some of the other things that have happened, I think that's really interesting is like with regards to what happened with like Lauren Histrich, like and your conversation with her like on Twitter. And I think that that was really again to me indicative of your growth as a person because like back in the day you may have just like trashed The Witcher and been like, you know what, fuck this lady for making
Mm.
this and blah blah blah. Whereas in like you kind of just like said a really milk toast tweet really and she kind of like replied to you in a really weird way and then like this conversation flourished from it and even like I got to like talk to her through that and like express
Mm.
my point of view and how I thought that how I thought that her depiction of like the different characters like because she was saying that we need more representation and like blah 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 and I was like telling her like I didn't need representation when I watched The Little Mermaid in Iran. I just like identify with her struggle, and like those kind of things. And I think that like you through that open the avenue of conversation and of talking to people, right? And I like that because I'm a huge advocate of free speech and like conversing and those kind of things. Uh, it it's just to me, it's just really interesting that some people are not really into that. And then, for example, like that whole thing that happened with like Frost, like I think that I was under the impression that you should be able to talk to people and then like let them kind of like show themselves, like whatever they end up doing, they end up doing. And then like, and we brought up Jordan Peterson, which I think was a really like it was a really interesting thing that I saw from Jordan Peterson a few years ago. One of my favorite interviews of him is when he goes on the BBC. And have you ever seen that interview with him and this chick? What was her name? The host was Kathy Newman.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And he like totally owns her. Like he's just
Mhm.
like and I actually pulled up the clips. I'll play it for the audience just in case they don't know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
But I think like this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about that no matter what, even if you don't think that you should have the conversation because that other person's in bad faith, if you are going to hold steadfast to your principles and know who you are and know what you're talking about, then you can go and like put that point of view forward and kind of like shut that down and then everyone will see that for what it is. So I think that like that's when the audience is the judge and like as we can see here the audience has spoken and this is like the clip that I'm talking about here. And that's what I'm talking about is that having that conversation in good faith or bad faith, like where Jordan's coming up at it from a good faith point of view and she's coming at it from bad. She's trying to constantly get him in this gotcha moment. And he's like, he knows what he's talking about. He knows his principles. He knows where he stands. He's a PhD in like, psychology and he knows like his stance on everything. And I feel like that is a lost art. I feel like that is like something that isn't easily accomplished. And I think that when we decide to stop that conversation, that's where we get into trouble. Now, I think like a lot of people have been critical of your points of view with regards to having that conversation. So like I'm just wondering like can you like expand on this idea or like try and kind of like what do you have to say to those who claim that there's no point in talking to the other side, especially those who have such big platforms and will paint you in a bad light? Because I think it's our duty to talk to those people, especially when they have bigger platforms, so that we can do what Jordan Peterson did, because he didn't have a big platform like BBC when he went on there. So,
Well, I
what do
think
you
my
think?
response would be first a feeling of empathy, and I would tell these people that I'm sorry that they've given up on humanity. And then I think I would follow up with that it's extraordinarily easy to be black pilled and say that what you're going to do is meaningless and therefore you shouldn't try it, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. This
Mhm.
is present on both the left and the right. It's particularly egregious when I see it on the right, coming from the side of people that were like, "Ugh, nobody will debate me. Nobody will talk to me. They don't want to talk to me." So it's particularly egregious when I see people in the center who claim to be centrists or claim to be center right to to take probably the most cowardly position uh imaginable, in that if there's nothing I do, what I do won't matter, so it's not worth trying. What
Mm.
that is that's coming from a absolute position of beta-ness and cowardliness. And it reminds me, like, unironically, of the goth kids uh in South Park. "Ugh,
Mm.
nothing but pain, pain." It's such a baby position to have, because you don't really risk anything then, do you? You know, you say, "Well, I'm gonna take my crayons and I'm gonna go home because I just won't change any minds." And then and you live in this, again, you create a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? No matter
Mhm.
what I do, nothing will change. So I don't do anything. So then nothing changes. And this is a weak position. And so when I see people hold it, people I respect, people in our same sphere, it literally breaks my heart.
Mhm.
It means that they've given up, that they think that nobody is reachable, and it's just simply not true. If you and I were diametrically opposed in political opinions and we had a discussion, it's not about me changing your mind or you changing mine. It's about bringing people together in the chat. We saw
Mhm.
this with Lauren Hissrich. The idea that people in the centrist or center right community were so repulsed by having a simple conversation on Twitter was so pathetic to me
Mhm.
that it was like angering. The idea that oh, well, she's never going to change her mind, so you shouldn't bother talking to her, is irrelevant. It isn't about changing Lauren Hissrich's mind or her changing mind. It's about the people in the threads that move a little bit closer to each other, which we saw literally happen. So
Mhm.
when people were trying to squash that conversation, um, it was like, bro, are you even reading the threads?
Mhm.
There were people on the left who were like, "Don't talk to him, he's awful." But then there were actually more people on the right or in the center that were saying, "Don't talk to her," which
Yeah.
was pathetic.
I saw that too, and I it was really, really, jarring, because and I see that all the time with the right, and I feel like that's something that should be criticized always. Like, for example, when it happened like a couple weeks ago, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, time is just so weird now. But like with Whoopi Goldberg on how like, she came out and said all that like, stuff about the Holocaust or whatever. And then like people on the right were like, yeah, cancel Whoopi Goldberg and like blah blah. Blah. And I'm like, how about we don't cancel anybody? Like, how about we cancel
Do you rem
cancel culture? Like
do you remember
you
the cringe, Mike Cernovich-led attempt to get James Gunn fired because he had, like, some
yeah.
let's be at least a little charitable, some, like, a little eyebrow-raising jokes in, like, a
Mhm.
personal journal? Like, I even got sucked into that. I think I originally put out a video that was like, "Yeah, F this guy. If Roseanne got canceled, then, screw him." But then I actually put out a second video afterwards, and I was like, "I was wrong.
Mhm.
No, because if it's wrong when they do it, it's wrong when we do it."
I
And
think I watched that video.
it's a nat and I lost subs from it, and people were pissed, and, like, I don't care, because you have to have some principles, and if you have principles, this is one thing I try to talk to people about, who are young and coming up and want to become better thinkers and stuff. And I'm always growing. I'm nowhere near perfect. But if
Mhm.
you can just self-reflect and have some really strong opinions on principle, you will be in such an amazing position, just like we saw with Jordan Peterson talking to her. Jordan
Mhm.
Peterson knows his principles. He also knows the words
Exactly.
that he said. So it was
Mhm.
so easy for him to destroy her. it's very easy for me to say that we shouldn't cancel anybody because I think it's wrong when the left does it. So it was really cringe seeing the right and really centrist right people in that I stand shoulder to shoulder with, like having meltdowns talking about how I was wasting my time. It was like, bro, you realize you spurging out proves that this matters. It proves that this conversation needs to happen. And it's not about everyone that comments on the thread. It's all the people that read it that will never know
Hmm.
that there are, decide like, hey, maybe there's both sides are wrong on some things and both sides are right on something. And that's why you have those conversations. You don't cop out like a baby and say, well, I'm just it's like the dude that whines about being single, but and then calls women bitches,
Yeah,
but
like
never and
treats
never
women
asks
like
them out.
shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
or he never shoots a shot, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm single alone. It's just no. What's the point? What's the
Never
point?
takes a risk.
Yeah, go
Right.
talk to her. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the point? What's the point? She's just gonna
Hmm.
say no because women are bitches. Like, okay, well, that may be your position, but you're a huge pussy
Hmm.
because that's literally the weakest position you can hold.
Hmm. And I think it's really interesting that like what we're talking about all kind of like ties into like different things. Like for example, I saw something else today, and I know you're a big advocate of all tech, so I thought I would ask you about this because I saw this other tweet. Oh my god, I just like accidentally like ran something on my computer, and it's probably gonna slow everything down. Whoops. But hold on. So like I read the I saw this other thing today, this other tweet. And it was, hold on one sec, let me pull it up so I can actually show you what I'm talking about. Um, Let me close all these tabs. Sorry about that, Jeremy. Also, Jeremy, I always get excited when big guests are here and I talk on forever. So if you like need to go,
Oh
just let
no,
me
no, no. I
know.
made you
And
wait. I'm okay. I'm good on time.
okay, just let me know like whenever you need to take off and whatever, and it's all good. And let's see here. Okay, so I saw this tweet earlier today, and it said Trump's social media platform has banned users from disparaging Trump. And I clicked on this link, and let me bring it up here. And I thought it was a really interesting read. And this is something that I've seen happen a bunch of times now. So, like in this article, it reads. Trump's social media platform reportedly prohibits users from disparaging the site's backers. I imagine that means Donald Trump. Now, as we start to read this article, it's not that long. I'm just gonna go through it really quickly, but it says the long hype launch of former President Donald Trump's social media network, Truth Social, has not gone particularly well. A fact users will reportedly not be able to point out on the platform. The Washington Post, and obviously we know the Washington Post is like a leftist,
Jeff
mouthpiece.
Bezos owns it.
Exactly. Called the launch a disastrous on Tuesday, and noted that even Jenna Ellis, a former member of his legal team, posted to Instagram a photo showing Trump with his finger hovering over laptop, letting us on Truth Social one at a time. And so again, like we know that the Washington Post is not going to paint them in a good light or anything like that. The Post noted that the launch was plagued by technical issues, like obviously, again, pointing out bad things about the site because they want to disparage people from using it. Um, glitches, long outages, and a 300,000 person wait list. That's a pretty big deal. Even before the launch, critics were mocking the new platform for its interface appearing identical to Twitter, the former president's beloved platform that helped to build his political movement and subsequently banned him from inciting violence. However, the National Public Radio pointed out one key difference between Twitter and Truth Social: the terms of service on Trump's platform prohibit disparaging its backers. I will note here that I checked out the app's terms of service, and there is one thing that is prohibited on Truth Social: to disparage, tarnish, or otherwise harm the backers of the site. And NPR Bobby Allen reported Tuesday. I imagine that means Donald Trump. Allen concluded. Again, that's just like him assuming a lot of things, but this part is what I think is really interesting. How exactly Truth Social will monitor content is still unclear, but Fox Business Report in January said that the company plans to use artificial intelligence from a Silicon Valley tech firm to moderate. And the report noted that platforms, while being a purpose of bastion of free speech, will use big tech software to heavily moderate content, but only to ensure that it remains family friendly. So I think this is really interesting because I don't know, like if you heard a couple months ago, like Getter had this thing about they were shadow banning Elijah Schaffer, and this was like this whole thing after, like, Joe Rogan kind of like put a good word out for Getter and everything like that, and it came out that they were also censoring people. So I feel like at this point in time, like I guess my question would be, what do you think about all platforms also censoring people from the other side? And like, where do we go from here? Do you think that we're at a point where we're just too divided and we can't have an actual free speech platform that would be fair to all parties?
That is a very complex question. First and foremost, consider the source. Mediaite is no better and no worse than We've Got This Covered or other garbage shill websites or
Okay.
clickbait websites. So Mediaite is not a reliable source. Secondly, from what I understand with the terms of service, there is no rules against disparaging Trump. Okay, there's absolutely nothing that says that. Third, they all suck. Here's the thing. There is no free speech haven other than perhaps Gab. If you want to be on the Google Play Store or the Apple iTunes Store, you will be forced to submit to hate speech restrictions and other BS that we all hate. The reason I support almost every new alt tech without question is because it all goes to weaken the existing oligarchy, which is basically Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So the question is not what is the solution. The question is, what are alternatives? What are decent options? What are other places that can serve us? Because, when I look at my views on like BitChute, for example, this is a website that spends nothing on advertising. I make nothing from it. In fact, I pay to support them every month. There are many videos there that get 2, 3, 4,000 views for me. Yeah, okay, I'm usually average about 100,000, but so what? Okay, so I get 4,000 on BitChute, I get 500 on Odyssey, and I get 200 on Rumble. These are 6,000 people that didn't watch my videos or couldn't watch my videos on YouTube. So my position is to embrace all of them, warts and all. So yes, Getter is cringe. Getter has the same BS hate speech rules that we all hate about Twitter. Yes, Truth Social will have the exact same hate speech and BS we don't like about Twitter. The reason I support them in principle, warts and all, is because it is anything but the exact anything but the existing oligarchy. So if you have, okay, look, I don't need to call people the N-word. I just, there's a percentage of people that are free speech absolutists. And I think one of Getter's biggest mistakes was calling itself a free speech platform. Massive mistake, because what do people do then? You say I'm a free speech. Oh, I want to spam the M-word. I want to talk about gassing certain people and this and that, and you won't let me do it. So this is all bullshit and it's dumb and it's gay. But that's the argument. If you engage with these people, that's what it is. I can't post furry porn. I can't do this. It's not free speech.
Wow.
So if Getter would have been not moronic, they never would have billed themselves as free speech, because the existing system, which is a practical monopoly between Android and iTunes, would never allow that to exist. Gab, yes, it is the de facto free speech platform, but you're never going to have 150,000 followers on Gab. It's
Mhm.
not happening because you have to go and download it's just not going to be on the Play Store, App Store. So if you're Getter, if you're Truth Social, what you have to do is just treat people equally. So on Twitter, we know that certain political opinions are shadow banned, hidden, this and that. Getter, very questionable. If True Social doesn't do that, that's all we can ask from it. Yes, it's going to be a conservative echo chamber, but let's not forget that this dude, Donald Trump, had 82 million followers when he was banned from social media.
Mhm.
And if he's active on True Social, let's say he gets 20% of them to come over. Okay, 16 million users overnight.
Mhm.
That's bigger than Parler ever was. That's bigger than Getter will ever be. And so it matters. But if you if you're just, again, it's just like the same like goth thing. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I can't spam the N-word, so I'm not leaving Twitter because whatever. Like, no, you can't look at it that way.
Mm-mm.
You just look at it from like half of my day is spent, oh, I got to re-upload to BitChute and re-upload to this, and I got to post. I do it because in principle, it matters to me. I will, I will never leave Twitter until they ban me. But
Me
like,
too. I'm like, they got to drag me off of there.
yeah, but I will also continue to use Gab and Getter, and you better believe I'll use Truth Social too, and I'll use whatever XYZ alt tech comes out after that.
Which one's
Because,
your favorite so far of the alt tech?
well, for video, it's BitChute. BitChute is a right-wing echo chamber. Odyssey is a little more mixed with content, but the viewership is nowhere near what I get on BitChute.
Mhm.
In terms of, Rumble's an extreme conservative echo chamber, and my pop culture videos don't do shit there. My Midwesty videos do good there. But like, so a BitChute for video, for Twitter alternatives, I'm still riding with Gab, even though the owner's a lunatic. But I do think, Getter has people there. It's a conservative AstroTurf thing. The whole conservative Inc. Twitter, Jack Posobiec, all these people all promoted Getter on the same day for some coincidental reason. But I
Mhm.
still get good interaction there. In terms of Facebook alternatives, I guess I'd place Minds in that scenario. I'll be right back. I just gotta go
Sure.
grab a drink.
Go for it. Wow, it's been so cool. It's been so cool to talk to Jeremy about all this stuff. And I see you guys in the chat. Thank you everybody for your super chats. I'm gonna read them as we kind of like finish up the conversation with Jeremy because I don't know how long I have him for. So I want to make sure I get all his opinions about what's going on. I see a lot of comments in the chat right now, you guys, about Ukraine and Russia. I definitely wasn't planning on talking about that tonight, but maybe I'll bring it up and I'll talk about it a little bit with Jeremy because I think a lot of you guys are interested in that. But it's just but also you guys can send your questions, and if you want me to ask anything specific, definitely send in your questions. I think we've got a spammer in the chat. Let me just, I don't know what's going on over there. But yeah, thank you so much, you guys. And yeah, Bobo Yogi, I just saw this. Thank you. For $10, says Nina, there's a array of internet sunshine that you need to reach out to and help get her feet wet on live streaming. You would be the perfect conduit to get her going. Ask Jeremy about Trillium. I know about Trillium, and I know that Jeremy helped her a lot. Oh, here he is again. We can let me see. There he is. So Bobo Yogi here is a $10 super chat saying to ask about Trillium. And I know that she's one of the girls that you helped out. So do you want to comment?
I mean, I'm not sure in particular what they might be asking, but Trillium is a very wholesome content creator
Mm-hmm.
who has her own opinions. And, I think when I watch YouTube, I don't watch new YouTube. I watch like old YouTube, which was like people shooting with their cell phones or,
Yeah.
like low. These are the type of videos I watch. And, Trill has just an energy to her that's infectious and untainted. And, I want to protect her like a sister. So yeah, she's a great kid, um, who loves gardening. I always love talking to people who are passionate about something, and it doesn't matter what it is. So like when I hang out at my local pub, I live in a small town. I'm not talking to other YouTubers. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking to masons and people who do tile work and people who, but I don't really care as long as they're like totally into it. I could talk to them all night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Trill is like with gardening and landscaping. And
Oh.
like, I don't care about what kind of flowers do good in a particular climate, but because she cares so damn much, I suddenly care. So yeah, she's a good kid.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know about my wholesome content, Jeremy, but I talk about positive news stories all the time. Every Friday, that's what I do, try and balance out the crazy world and the black pillars and all the negativity, to try and point out that there's still good things going on in the world. So if Trillium, like, is into positive stuff, yes, I should definitely talk to her. So if you're in touch with her, get her to, like, contact me, DM me or something, so that we can
Yeah.
spread more positivity because we can all use more of that. Now I know that, like, this obviously crazy stuff going on in the world tonight. I wasn't planning on talking about it, but do you have anything that you want to talk about with regards to like Russia and Ukraine right now? Like, do you have any opinions on it? Do you think America should intervene?
No, of course not. I don't think America should intervene.
I don't
Um,
either.
I think I'm over America World Police after, so I graduated college in 2001, the same
Mm-hmm.
year 9/11 happened.
Mm.
And loads of my friends enlisted, uh, and were sold a bill of bologna sausage. Uh, we could look at Vietnam. We could look at Afghanistan. We got all these times that we put innocent American lives at risk for whatever reasons. Like America should just stop buying oil from communists and terrorists.
Mm.
Like, can we find a seller of oil that isn't one of these two things? And I think it's very concerning that there's shelling going on right now, uh without getting like too political. I support Ukraine and my Ukrainian viewers, and also I've talked to several people of Russian descent about this too, and it's not like they're exactly all in on it either. So I
Mhm.
just hope everyone's safe, which is no longer the case anymore.
Yeah, it's a very complicated situation, but I'm kind of the same way too, as like I'm Persian, so I'm like, not for foreign intervention
Do
ever.
you wear a lot of white, and do you drive a Mercedes? What's all those Persian memes? They
Yeah,
buy like
like,
white Mercedes and then they dress awful and they like
yeah.
really gaudy jewelry and stuff.
Oh yeah, the gaudiness is like our thing. I mean, I
Okay.
feel like Donald Trump is like half Persian almost,
Mhm.
because it's like I don't understand
Has
like
to
how
be.
he
Has to
has to
be.
be. There has to be Persian in him because that's
If there's a
all he does
Persian
is gold.
hotel, it would be like Trump Tower or
It would
Trump hotels. Yeah.
literally that because, dude, I watched a Persian movie where this guy had a golden toilet, and I was like, that's Donald Trump's toilet. I bet
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
anything he shits on a solid toilet that's made of gold. Um,
Is there any other way? If I could, I would.
I mean, I wouldn't. No, I don't think I would do it. I
No,
don't
I
think
don't.
I could
I
do
don't want
it.
to. Yeah. I don't know if there's amount of money that I could have that would make me care that little about money,
Mhm.
but there is a number. Like, there's a lot of these, oil kids from Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates
Mhm.
that get addicted to mobile games and spend like $100,000 a month on them.
Damn.
That's actually what drives a lot of the mobile gaming market is whales,
Mm-hmm.
and they're usually Middle Eastern, and they're
Mm.
usually oil money kids, and like one or two people can support an entire app. It's a funny rabbit hole to go down, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny to me. And that's what I'm talking about with regards to the change in you, because I was explaining like my experience with your channel before you came on and how like I used to be a big time viewer of yours. And then that whole thing happened with Trump and Soleimani, and you made some really spicy videos on it. And I emailed you and I was really angry about your points of view about what you said about like how they should invade Iran and stuff. And I was like, I can't believe you said that. Like, I'm Persian and I don't agree with you. And then you were like, you emailed me back and you said, like, sorry, I went a little spicy on that one. And I don't know if you remember my email or not.
Yeah.
That was
I try to
me.
respond to them. Like if you get a response to an email, it's usually from me. And at that time it probably was me.
I think that time it was you because you didn't have your editors yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, and I was like, wow, he actually responded, and he was very, very courteous. You're very courteous, and I was mad at you for a bit, and then I got over it later. And
Well,
then
I'm
this is
glad you
what
didn't tell everyone about how I asked you for nudes. That would have been disparaging.
yeah, well, some secrets have to stay between
Yeah,
us, Jeremy.
right.
God, we can't tell everybody everything all the time. But yeah, like I'm also one of those people who's like, I'm just not for foreign intervention. And I feel like many countries have been negatively impacted when the US or other countries were like, let's go in and make it a better place. And you're just like, no, it's never worked out before. Why don't you calm down, let people work out things for themselves? But like, for example, even Justin Trudeau, like he came out and said that like, the balls on this guy for coming out and like condemning Russia for
Yeah.
authoritarianism.
I know,
And I'm like, bro,
yeah.
are you fucking kidding me right now? You are, I mean, people
We're gonna
in
give
glass
you some
houses.
sanctions, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sit the fuck down, you boy band looking motherfucker. Like
Yeah.
I I have a lot of Canadian viewers. So 11% of my viewers are Canadian, and they aren't universally in agreement with me politically,
Mhm.
and that became apparent during the trucker convoy. But like they are universally with me in that Justin Trudeau's a clown. Like
He is.
that's undeniable, at least with anybody that I've spoken to from Canada.
Well, let's talk about Canada for a bit, because I don't slow news day. I mean, fucking Russia's attacking people, and Justin Trudeau pulled the emergency act that he revoked it, the emergency act that he had put into place a few days ago, which was a huge deal, like historic thing. And now he's revoked it. And I like there's different theories going around. One being that many people started to pull out their money out of the banks because of the banks freezing their assets and everything like that. There's also like theories about how his aide, not his, the prime minister's aide, the lady, I forgot her name. She talked about like different things about like taking people's assets and like taking cryptocurrency and things like that. And
I
they're
don't
saying
blame people for doing that then. Like
I don't either.
I think everyone should have some level of cash reserve on their like stashed away, and don't be an idiot. Don't keep, don't leave too much there, but enough,
Mhm.
stashed away. Like I don't care if you're American or Canadian or wherever. The thing about cash is that, in 2022, it's like, who carries cash? Like
Mhm.
I had to, it's like, oh crap, I need to pay cash for this. Oh, I literally can't. You should have cash, small bills, not 100s. You should have a couple $100, or, depending on what your means are, maybe a couple thousand, but you should always have that stashed
Mhm.
away along with like a simple, I'm no prepper, but like a simple go bag and like, your candles and your, it's and your extra things of
Flashlights
water
and
and your
yeah.
flashlights. You should have $1,000 cash or $2,000 cash too.
I'm a prepper because especially now, well, again, coming from a war zone in Iran, like from being a war child to now living in Cancun and having to deal with hurricanes, I'm a
Mhm.
prepper. So like I know like any minute, like not that the banks would go down and freeze your assets, but you might not be able to access the bank. Like there's no
Well, look
way
at what happened
can.
in Texas last 2 years ago or a year or 2 ago, where
Like
they got the
the
cold
winter.
weather.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and, like, I talked to people that live there, and, like, Elijah Schaefer was telling me, like, people in their apartment complex were all huddling in, like, one apartment, and they were literally burning candles for heat,
Yeah.
and, like, local businesses were selling shit, but you needed to have cash because they
Mhm.
didn't have credit card machines to sell stuff.
Exactly,
So
because
it's
it
like,
doesn't work. There's no electricity.
yeah, so, like, having some amount of cash that you don't pick up, that you don't touch to, like, go out to the bar or whatever, this is smart, and I think Canadians, are seeing this more than ever, and also, a lot of these crypto I poked the wasp's nest a little bit about that, but so many of these, like, crypto maniacs are like, "It's so great, it's like, the government can't touch it." Like, bro, the government's seizing crypto all the time. And,
Yeah.
like, it's not exact, "Oh, well, you just gotta put it in cold storage, bro." Like, okay, fine, but you better have some cash
I'm a
because
big conspiracy theorist guy, girl, I should say.
you did say guy. What, did you just
Guy,
come out
girl.
to us?
Oh God, I did, I
Am I
guess.
using the wrong, I'm sorry, are they he, him pronouns, Nina?
No, hell no. It's still she, her, but you know
Okay.
what? Like, I don't know. That could change any minute.
I accept you either way.
God, can you imagine? Um, but I've seen you as a girl with your wig, so
Yeah,
you're
it's
pretty
not a
cute.
great sight.
What does your wife think of that? Has she seen you wear that?
Uh, she does not watch my content. She's never seen a single video. Um,
Has she
she's a
ever walked
normie.
in on you recording and seen you
No, because
with
I
a
have,
fucking blue wig and been like,
no,
dude, what
because
are
I
you
have
doing?
when I hit record, I have a red light on the top of the stairs that says when
Oh,
I'm
okay.
recording. So yeah,
Oh, like a professional
yeah,
radio personality, like
hmm
we're live
on
in the
air,
studio
yeah.
on air. Okay. All right. All right. Have to get myself one of those one of these days. Yeah, Zer. Yeah, that's me. Oh my God. Okay. Let's talk about some fun stuff. I feel like it's been way too crazy. So what about entertainment, Jeremy? Are you looking for anything forward to like did you see the Doctor Strange trailer?
Couldn't
The
care
second one?
less.
Couldn't care less?
The Batman,
Oh, really? Are you looking forward to that?
super. I'm telling. I was on the Robert Pattinson trailer train, hype train since Jump Street.
Mhm.
So I now must commit to following through on that. I think Robert Pattinson will play Batman expertly. I'm not going to say he's going to be the best or my favorite, but he will do just fine. And every trailer I've seen, I like it.
Hmm.
It's dark. You have also you have the Penguin and the Riddler, which are like two. We've seen the Joker. Okay, everyone knows about the Joker, but now we get the Riddler in a non-cringe Jim Carrey way. Like Jim Carrey Riddler was awful.
Mm.
This Riddler looks awesome. Penguin looks awesome. Um, and I pre-bought tickets for it. I think it's gonna be great. I'm excited for that. Um, at least in the near future, in terms of entertainment, that's kind of all like that's. I hope it's I'm not gonna say it's like gonna be a perfect movie, but I think it's gonna be pretty good.
I uh I I wonder if it's going to be good like because I like you have always thought that Robert Pattinson was a good actor. Like I've watched him in several different things. Like I'm not
Watch
one of
Good
those
Time.
people.
Anybody who talks junk about Robert Pattinson, watch Good Times. Watch The Lighthouse. Watch he did a Netflix show where he played a Southern Baptist preacher.
The devil
Um,
all the time.
that
Bro, that
awesome.
movie was
He crushed it.
hardcore. He
Tom
crushed that
Holland's in
movie.
it too.
Yes.
And he
I have
does
a
very
review
good
on
in that
it.
role. Yeah, that movie was awesome. I would give it like, I don't give 9s very often, so people whine about like my low scores. But that movie's like a solid 7.5 or an 8,
Agreed.
which is strong for a Netflix movie.
Agreed. Because
Yeah.
that movie was shocking because it was also based on a book.
Mhm.
And the narrator was the dude that wrote the book.
Yep.
And it was just such a good movie. It was extremely heavy. And I was like, holy fuck, what did I just watch? But it
If
was
you haven't watched
amazing
Good Times, watch
performances.
that too. It's
I haven't
Robert
seen it. I
Pattinson.
will.
Robert Pattinson, and he's like got a it's like his he has like a slow brother, and
Mhm.
like, trust me, it's great.
Good
And like,
Times, it's called?
I think it's called Good Times.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been told to watch The Lighthouse too,
The
and
Lighthouse
I
is
have to.
incredible.
Yeah, I
That
have to watch that.
Watch The Lighthouse first, but then Good Times is also like another, like, it's like, oh, Robert Pattinson's just a sparkly vampire and he can't act. Okay, watch Good Times. Like,
Yeah.
he's legit in that movie. And like, obviously The Lighthouse, he's legit, and then The Devil All the Time, he crushed it
He did.
as like a
You're
corrupt
the only
preacher.
person I've been able to talk to about this movie because nobody else like had
Nobody
seen-
watched it.
Nobody watched it except for
Yeah.
me and you apparently. And I'm like, dude, I made a review about it because I was so impressed. The other person that was so impressive in that movie, other than Tom Holland, was not Alexander Skarsgård, but the guy's brother. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was in it and he was so good. I was
Looking
like,
it up.
dude, all these people are so amazing. And I just love that movie. I thought it was really good. It was so heavy.
Bill
but-
Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård, yeah.
Yeah, he
played
crushed it. Yeah.
so good. I mean, the performances were like out of this world in
Bill
my opinion.
Skarsgård also plays Pennywise.
Yes.
Yeah, like that
I was
dude.
like, holy shit.
Everyone knows who Alexander Skarsgård is because of the vampire
The True Blood.
True Blood.
Yeah.
But like, quietly, Bill has a way better career.
Yeah.
Way better.
I mean, his acting chops is like next level. Although now Alexander Skarsgård is coming out with The Northman. Have you seen
I
the
know.
trailer?
Yeah, it looks great.
Dude, that
Looks
thing was
great.
fucking awesome. I cannot wait for that movie because I'm just like, I'm one of those people. First of all, I like hot men in my movies. Okay, sue me. I have the toxic eye, the female gaze, whatever you want to call it. I'm
Mhm.
there for it. Like Reacher, I was there for it. Have you seen Reacher?
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
good.
And here's the other thing, like, okay, so obviously Reacher was not the Tom Cruise series.
Mhm.
I'm not a Tom Cruise guy,
I
but
am.
the Jack Reacher films, awesome.
I
Just
loved it.
awesome.
Yeah, I
Fun,
loved them.
action, no bullshit, just good.
Mhm.
I hadn't seen them until like 4 or 5 months ago, and I watched. I was like, "Dang, that's good." And then
Mhm.
like the second one was a little over the top. It was
Mm.
still good.
It was
It was
sti-
still like
yeah.
a solid 6 or 7.
Mhm.
And but the first one is like a 8. It's like a very good film. I generally I gravitate towards sad movies or like I don't know what you'd call them.
Drama.
Drama. I like suspense and I like drama.
I
So,
like
but,
suspense too.
like, I like horror movies, but I don't like gore.
I don't either.
So,
Me too. I'm the same
like,
way.
Yeah, I
hate
don't give
gore.
it like people like Saw or I don't want it. I don't like it. I'm
Me
not
too.
a fan of it.
Mhm.
But like the thriller, the psychological thriller,
Me too.
I'm in. Yeah,
Me
and
too.
there's
I'm all about the psychological thriller. Like anything, like even like when I watched like Get Out, I was like, yes. Like I
Get Out
like
was
Get Out.
great. Yeah, Get Out was great. I think I just watched one the other day that like all the way going back to like Fallen, which is
Mhm.
like sort of a horror film. Denzel Washington and then
Yeah.
John
Yeah. I've seen
Goodman.
that. That was good.
It's like a possession story, but it's not
Yeah.
really a possession story. That's like or Nightcrawler, any one of those, or what's the there's like 2 of them where the guy's hired and he's like filming He's like filming a guy who ends up like killing him. What is that? 'Cause there's two of them. It's not Nightcrawler. It's called if you haven't seen it, I know you'll love it.
I don't know. Is it? It's not
Uh
paranormal, right?
no, it's like a guy, he wears like a wolf mask. He like puts like a Craigslist ad for somebody to film his suicide.
I've
Um
never heard of this.
and there's two of them.
Somebody said Annabelle. I don't think it's Annabelle because
It's
she.
not
That's
Annabelle.
about
That's the doll. That's
yeah,
the
that's a
doll
doll
one.
thing.
I actually like all those films are created by the same people,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, they're all very acceptable films.
The
None
Black
of them are
Phone
great.
Creep.
Creep. Yep, it's called Creep.
It's called Creep.
Creep. There's Creep 1 and Creep 2. If you haven't seen it, I give you like the quartering seal of approval that you'll give. I bet you'll give both those movies a 9. They're both very good in terms of like a thriller, horror, like suspense type thing. Cell Count's another one that's like a terrible like that's like I think it's on Netflix or Hulu. Not many people saw it, but like that's another one of those like psychological thrillers where bad stuff is happening, but you're not like watching somebody's guts get ripped out, which I don't
hate
need
those.
that.
It's like I don't need to watch
that.
those. You know what happened to like one of the movies that I was like totally enjoying, and then all of a sudden I was like, "What the fuck?" Was like the movie Brightburn. Like I thought it
Yes.
was really
Yeah.
good, and then all of
Took
a
a
sudden
really
it's
weird
like
left turn.
right? Like it was like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm just gonna totally be just gory for the sake of just being gory and just ruin the entire movie for me. I was like, what the fuck? Whereas
Yeah.
then I'm good with tasteful violence. Like I loved Reacher because I was like, yeah, all of this makes sense. Like the violence in the
Even
movie makes sense. Like
The Green Room is good. It's kind of violent, but like I think that's the movie with the main guy is from, it has violence in it, but it's like so fucking like intense the whole way through. Yeah, it's Patrick Stewart's in it. It's from 2016.
what the fuck? It's got Patrick Stewart's in it. I'm
Yeah.
just looking it up as you're wow.
And then there's another movie, maybe chat could help, where like this guy is holding a woman. It gets a little weird at the end, a little like like queasy, but like he's holding this woman and he's blind. Is it like don't look, or he's blind and he's like trying to artificially inseminate her. I forget what it was. But I mean, like, it was such there was like a couple of there's a little weirdness like that, but it was Don't Breathe. That's what that one's called.
Don't Breathe. Okay. But you know what? Speaking of vampire movies though.
Stephen Lang is the star of that, by the way. Excellent actor.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to check all of the stuff out that you're telling me right now.
Watch Creep.
I will.
Of all the recommendations, give Creep and then
Lighthouse. I'm gonna watch Lighthouse.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to watch Lighthouse forever, and I'm a fan of Robert Pattinson. I think he's gonna crush Batman.
He's gonna crush Batman. There's no question in my mind.
The only question in my mind about it is the script.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do about a bad script. Like if you can be the best actor, like just like fucking Batfleck. Like you can be a good actor, but you can have a shit.
Hated
it. So did my husband. I
could not see Ben Affleck. It wasn't even his fault. It's not like Ben's fault, but I'm just like, oh, it's Ben Affleck. Like that's the problem with casting, like,
certain people.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's gonna be like about Pattinson, though. They're gonna be like, oh, it's sparkly vampire guy.
You're right. You're right. It could be. It's gonna be an issue for, like, there will be some people. You don't like Donnie Darko? I love Donnie Darko.
I love Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan.
I like that. There's that one of the line that cracks me up every time. They're like at the dinner table and she's like, she says something like, it's not like don't have a crap attack, but she's like, And then the dad's like, how does one even
Have one of those,
fuck
yeah.
how does one even fuck a butt or
Oh yeah, something.
something like that? Like it has some great like low key comedy in it too.
Really good.
Plus,
Yeah. It's one of my
Jill
favorite
the
movies of all
Gyllenhaal
time.
girl, like
Donnie Darko.
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Jonathan Ferrier says for $5, 2013, The Hunt starring Mads Mikkelsen was a damn scary movie. I don't know
Yeah,
what that is.
anything Mads is in is always pretty good. Even his like cringe over the top Netflix movie where he was just clearly cashing in.
Mhm.
I liked it. I watched it in an airport, so I was like, okay, like low standards. But like I was stuck at Polar, it was called. I just
Mm.
liked it. It's like Liam Neeson gets a bad rap for all these like formulaic movies he does.
I
But
watch
like
every single fucking Liam Neeson movie ever made.
that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, fine, but people like Liam Neeson and
I
like
love Liam
Rotten
Neeson. I'll
Tomatoes
just
can
watch it.
keep he can keep giving people Rotten Tomatoes can keep giving his movies 12% and people will like I don't care what anyone says. That first Taken is one of the best action
So
films in the last
good.
20 years. Like there's
Dude,
just no doubt about it.
I did just watch a Liam Neeson movie that was like the shittiest movie I've ever seen him do, and it's called The Marksman. And I was like,
Yeah, it sucked. That was bad.
bro, that movie was
Yeah, that was
bad. I was
bad.
like, dude,
It was on
why?
Netflix, so I watched it for free, I think. Or it was on
That's
somewhere.
what
I
I'm
watched
like,
it for
oh,
free. Yeah.
that's what I did too. I was like, oh, Netflix, fucking Liam, what the fuck? I was like so mad. I'm like, this movie sucked. But like the other thing that's funny that I just saw today, which is gonna be hilariously bad, is the new Interview with the Vampire.
I know. I don't know what they were thinking.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And I totally agree with Jane Theory. Shout out to Jane. Says, why is Claudia not a little girl? Being trapped in the body was a foundation of her story, and making Louis a brothel owner instead of the planter is less believable than the collar swab. No mention, not to mention a little Erasmus. But it's just so funny to me that they like aged her up, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, forget the fact that she's like race swapped or whatever, but her entire
But I
story
won't
arc
forget
is
that. I won't forget that.
you're not gonna forget it.
Because it's deliberate.
I know it's deliberate.
It doesn't add anything to the story now that she's not white.
No.
And it's such a shitty position that they put people in who notice it and say that this is weird because it's like a no-win position.
No.
So I say, oh, you race swapped her because hold on, let me do my best impression here. The message. But then you do, and then it's like, oh, well, it's clearly the race swap. It's like, oh, Black Anne Boleyn? That's odd.
Oh my
Why is that odd, you
God.
fucking racist? Like, whoa. No, I'm just saying, like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
but Black Anne Boleyn is next level because Anne Boleyn was a real person. Like you
yeah,
can't,
right. Yeah,
dude.
that's like, let's see what we can get away with.
Yeah,
That's
like
what that
that's
was.
just ridiculous on a whole other level. But like her, she's not a real person. Okay, she's fictional.
Fine.
You want to
Yeah.
race swap her, sure. But it's like you want to age her up. Their entire story was that she was a fucking child. Like, she becomes
It
an
kinda
adult
mattered.
trapped in a fucking child's body. And
Yeah.
now they want to do weird shit with it where she's like in her 20s and like, that whole storyline does not even
They
make
want to
sense
have
anymore.
sex in it. And
Yeah.
they like, because that's like, I'm no Puritan. Okay, but like half of Netflix's most popular shows
Mhm.
when I was in my 20s would have passed a softcore porn. Like, if you look at the most popular Netflix shows, almost all of them have like, I wouldn't call it, it's not hardcore because you're not getting like P in the V, but you're
Mhm.
getting boobs and you're getting like simulated sex and you're getting like, it's a staple of what these like Netflix and well, it's really just Netflix, what they provide. And
Mhm.
I think that's just a band-aid. Like they're like it's like when what's the show? It was on Showtime. It's Showtime's most popular show maybe ever. It takes place in South Chicago. Um, 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 um,
Mm.
um, 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 uh, the girl, the dad's a piece of garbage, and the daughter's like the matriarch of the family. Shameless. And then
Oh, never saw it.
like I was like, oh, this is an interesting show. And then it felt like they got lazy and there's just like boobs. And I was like, oh, like, okay, boobs are cool. And most people can appreciate them, but like that's not a substitute for like a storyline. But
It's not.
it is, but it isn't for me, like
Yeah, but you know what? That's funny that you say this because that's also what they're doing to Lord of the Rings.
right. That's what did you think what made Lord of the Rings? Let's say you did a top 5 list of what I'm sorry, top 5 list of what made early Game of Thrones great.
Mhm.
Would like the hardcore sex scenes have been on that list?
No.
No way. But
Mm-mm.
like they did it anyway. It's like you don't need that.
You don't need that. You don't need
I
that.
like boobs like as much as the next guy. I'm just or girl. But it's just like okay, like the fact that for Lord of the Rings, they came out and said, "Oh, it's not going to have hardcore like sex scenes like Game of Thrones." Like the fact that they came out to say that as like a differentiating factor, I was like, that isn't what made Game of Thrones good either.
Mm-mm. But it's so funny that, like, basically Bezos was like, "I want a Game of Thrones-like show," and then they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna have, like, fucking boobs and shit
Right.
in
Yeah.
Lord of the
Thank
Rings."
God
It's like
more boobs. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, that's the last thing I really thought about when I was, like, looking at Lord of the Rings, but, like, okay. And that's the thing with, like, that's what I was, like, saying about Game of Thrones is that, like, in Game of Thrones, like, you kind of knew, like, what you were going into, like, when you went to watch a
Yeah.
show, like, you already knew if you were a fan of the books, you had read how much nudity and stuff is, like, in it, and then, like, when you watch the show, you know how fucked up it is. Whereas in Lord of the Rings, it's, like, one of the most wholesome reads you'll ever read in your life, and then
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, we're just gonna put boobs in this now," and it's like and like, race swap and sex swap and like, all this shit. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, you have good material. Why don't you just stick to it? Like, you don't really need to do much. It's Lord of the Rings. It already has a fan base. Are you
I
gonna watch
thought
it?
no, of course not.
You're not?
No, I have zero interest in J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings in spirit only or name only.
I thought you would watch it at least for like a new shed.
Well, will I consume it in other ways that does not pay Amazon money? Yes, probably.
Mm,
But
ditto.
probably only like the first episode or two. I don't do hate watching. Like what Az did with Batwoman is
Mm-hmm.
like legendary, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't do hate watching. So like I put out like 9 million videos a day. So by the time I get done with work, it's like 7 o'clock at night. I get 2 hours.
Mm.
I'm not hate watching something. So like right now I'm working my way through the X-Files. Like I'm on season
I
3
love the
now.
X-Files.
But the thing is, like, I go upstairs, make my dinner. I roll up an herbal uh, cigarette,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoy watching X Files with no politics, no bullshit,
The good
just
times.
good TV.
Yeah.
And then I go to bed. Like the idea of me being like, oh man, I'm gonna make time to watch Lord of the Rings. Like
I mean, I was
I am
hate
not
watching
into it.
stuff too, like, especially because I review some of the stuff like Marvel stuff, on, my channel sometimes on Sundays, and then at one point, I was like, "I can't do this anymore." Like, I stopped in the middle of Hawkeye, and I was like, "I'm switching over to" because The Expanse had started at that time, and I was like, "I'm gonna switch over to The Expanse." I never went back to
Hawkeye was
Hawkeye.
so boring. Like it
God,
was so formulaic. And like Hawkeye, he could, by the way, good actor. If you
mhm.
ever want to see
Jeremy Renner?
Jeremy Renner, watch what is it? Creek Colts one of the best movies I've seen in years. maybe I have low standards, but it's kind of like if a Western played out in an Indian reservation. Wind River,
Oh.
awesome movie. Came out in 2017. He's like a cop on an Indian reservation, so it has like the complexities of laws on the res versus laws not on the res, and like it's really good.
That's interesting because there's a show that I love, and it's like an old Canadian show, and it's called North of 60, and it's like all about like the reservations and like an RCMP cop that goes to this like rural area of the reservation and has to like figure it out with like the local cop there. And it's such a good show, Jeremy. I think you'd like it. I know it's a
Yeah.
very Canadian thing, but if you want to understand Canadians more, watch North of 60. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, I watch
It's drama.
I mean, I like Trailer Park Boys and Letterkenny. Those are Canadian.
Oh God, I love
Um,
Trailer Park Boys too.
but the yeah, I mean, I think I will watch Lord of the Rings because I have to, because like it just is. I mean, it's just too important for me to do. There is some level of like integrity where if I'm gonna make a bunch of money dumping on a show and I don't even watch it, like that's not okay. Like
Yeah.
eventually you have to watch the thing. So like, you know, I roasted plenty of Batwoman, and I was like, well, I have to watch it. And instead of what happened was I did watch it and it was awful.
Mhm.
So what I did was I stopped making videos about Batwoman because it was like, I'm not watching it.
Feel like I'm done.
It's terrible. I can't do it. So, you know, for Lord of the Rings, but by the way, what do you think the chances are that this show, I mean, they're not going to stop making it. But
5 seasons. It
that's
already
what
has 5 seasons.
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no freaking way. 5 seasons. They spent $1 billion with a B dollars on this production.
Mhm.
And the level of vitriol this early on. And like, you could argue, like, let's say for Marvel, okay?
Mhm.
Normies carry Marvel. They are the people that, like, people like you or I who have more invested, there's more to it, but we don't drive the needle for Marvel movies. Normies do, who don't watch our videos online, who don't read anything. Like, oh, new Marvel movie? Oh, okay, that's just on my calendar. That's
Mhm.
appointment television or movie. I go because it's a Marvel movie.
Mhm.
The thing that's different about Lord of the Rings is you have to, first of all, be a Prime subscriber, which tons of people are.
Mhm.
But then you have to get the stupid Amazon Prime app, and you have smart TV. Like the amount of people that see Marvel movies in the theater that that have smart TVs is not 1-to-1.
Mhm.
So like my parents wouldn't have any clue how to watch something on Amazon. Like they just don't. So it's like I don't know. Obviously, Amazon will never release their actual viewership numbers. They'll never release, unless it's good. So like they don't even own the rights.
They're trying to get it though.
I know. Well, they should. I think they should get the rights.
You do? I don't. I hope they don't.
Well, I don't think
They're
I
gonna
don't mean
ruin
that
it.
from well, I don't mean it from like that way. I mean like if you're gonna make a prequel, maybe own like the Similarium or whatever and the other like
Mm.
the other because they only own the rights to the original trilogy books, and they're
Mhm.
creating a prequel based on the last 150 pages of the Return of the King. They don't own anything that would fuel this generic fantasy that they're calling Lord of the Rings.
I think they're trying to I think they're trying to get it so that they can go from the prequel to like their own version of like the Lord of the Rings and like have, their version, which I think is gonna be a fucking trash fire because I'm a huge fan of the Peter Jackson ones, but
I'm a normie
I don't know.
Tolkien fan. I didn't read the books. I'm not feeling offense on a personal level
Mm.
on certain things. But I do know that Amazon doesn't like I believe that Amazon thought that they could pay $250 million for the rights and then just print money.
Mm.
And they are sorely mistaken unless normies maintain it. But I'm saying, like, to watch a show on Amazon Prime is actually the least convenient way. Like, if
Mhm.
we're on Netflix or if we're on Hulu and it's like, oh, I'm used to opening Netflix, I'm used to
Mhm.
opening Hulu and it's right on the home screen. But to
Mhm.
go, you got to go into the Amazon Prime app. You got to open that, which nobody ever uses unless you're already watching like Reacher or what was the other show with Krzyzewski or whatever his name, or Krasinski. That was actually pretty good
Oh,
too.
Jack Ryan?
Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah,
good
I
too. That
haven't
was
seen that.
Amazon too. But like those are small audiences.
See, and
Like
it's so weird to me that Amazon's capable of putting out great content and then they're like, let's not for Lord of the Rings. Like, I just don't understand where they're going with that because,
it might be
Reacher's
good.
been,
It
you
might be
think,
good.
based on that trailer, bro, you really think so? I don't know about
Well,
that.
let me put it this way. Let me offer a brief white pill here as
Okay.
we
All right.
wrap things as I have to wrap things up here soon here.
Okay.
I thought based on the early things we saw on The Witcher that it was
Mm-hmm.
going to be an unmitigated disaster.
Hmm.
The Witcher season 1 was not horrible. It
Okay.
was decent. I'm not
Yes.
saying it was an 8 or a 9 or a 10, but it was a 7. It was
Mm-hmm.
good. It had its moments.
Agreed.
Henry Cavill was great.
Amazing.
Yes, they focus on the strong, independent women who don't need no man more than I would have liked them focusing on him, like monster hunting. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the female actresses and characters are well done, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a decent first season. And going into it, I thought it was going to be like a 4 or a 5 out of 10.
I did too.
So
I actually the character of Yennefer really sold me because I did not like the casting like when it was announced for Yennefer, and I
yeah,
thought her
she did
performance was
great.
so good that I was
Yeah.
like, I'm actually sold on her. And then the second season, I thought ruined her character. I was like, oh
Second
no.
season was a huge step back, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And then, remember like the early images of the Nilf Garden where they had like they look like ball sacks, their
Yeah.
armor,
Yeah.
like everyone was memeing on that, including myself. They actually look fine. They looked fine in the show. Like
Yeah.
they
They
look
looked all
fine,
right. Yeah.
and like it was and I like Henry. If it was anybody else but Henry playing The Witcher, I probably would have liked it much less. But the show
I
was
wouldn't have even watched it.
right. Well, that's probably true too. Yeah. But it was serviceable. Season 2 is a big step back, in my opinion, of a solid 6 out of 10.
Mhm.
But like, I think that when you have Netflix, it's easier to capture normies because they already have Netflix.
Mhm.
Amazon will not have that. Amazon is not going to have people paying extra money to sign up for Amazon Prime to watch Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Mhm.
They might be watched by the people who already pay, which is a real bummer of the streaming world because I used to love talking about box office on Fridays and then box office failures on Monday, but
I remember that.
we don't know anymore. So it's
Yeah,
like,
no.
oh, I don't know if something flopped. So that whole section of my content just disappeared, which sucked. It was always great.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for giving me your time tonight. I know it's a hectic time for everybody, including myself. So I
I'm sorry I
appreciate that
was
you.
late. I'm sorry I was late.
No, you don't need to be. It's totally fine, man. And thank you for being here and giving me your time. It was awesome to talk to you. You get to know you on a personal level a little bit. And I do appreciate that you're trying to like maintain that both side of the conversation thing. Like if no one else does, I really do because I do love having discourse with everyone, even people we don't agree with. So thank you for doing that. And yeah,
Yeah,
you have a
I
great
appreciate.
night.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah. And everybody on stream should give Nina, if you're in a position to, a hearty super chat to thank her for waiting for me and for hosting me. I appreciate it.
Of
And
course. You're welcome
you
back anytime.
Great. I'll take you up on that.
Definitely.
And then we'll see.
Maybe one day I'll
Soon.
have you on one of my good news ones. I'll hit you up and I'll be like, "Hey, you want to come hang out with and report on some good news?" That'll be a change for you.
I'm not comfortable with that. I'm only that like I don't no
Only bad
no.
things.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Take it
All
easy.
right. All right. Have a good night. Thank you. That was awesome, you guys. What a crazy night. Thank you everybody for hanging out in the chat. It's been wonderful. I'm so sorry that it's been on such a weird note with weird um Ukraine drama. Why am I so blurry? The Ukraine drama, but um either way, it was really cool of Jeremy to come by. And for all of you in the chat, thank you so much for hanging out. And I'm going to get to your super chats now. We had an early one from Valarcus for $2 saying Jeremy is running on Wisconsin time. It's a thing. Yeah, so is Mexican time. So I totally feel that. Russell Hall, thank you so much for the $5. Says the denazify comment refers to the fact that there are neo-Yahtzee militias serving the Ukrainian army. Damn. That's kind of crazy. I heard that like one of their leaders was like a neo-Nazi a while ago. What's wrong with my weird camera? But thanks for that, Russell Hall. Ruben, thank you so much for the $20. So generous of you. Says it's a false flag op all theater. The UN needed a distraction, and we are the pawns. This is done to bring the great reset. We need to fight real evil. It's a joke. Don't fall for it. America first. Vote them all out. Honk. You know what's weird is I don't know what you're talking about, Ruben, whether you're talking specifically about the trucker stuff or if you're talking about the Ukraine stuff, because to be completely honest, I actually think the Ukraine stuff and the Russian stuff is also a distraction. So I think, like, I'm just a big, like, I think there's a lot of narratives falling apart right now. And I think the elites need us to be distracted for a reason. I don't know why. It's just an inkling I have. So I think that, I think that's also a thing, keeping us distracted for a reason. And also, shout out to all my mods in the chat. Thank you, everybody, especially the mods, for doing a great job and getting rid of the trolls and all the craziness in the chat. Thank you, guys. And again, thank you so much, Ruben, for your super chat. That is very, very interesting. I agree with you, though. There's a lot of false flags going on. Elvanis, thank you so much for the $4.99. Says, "Hail Nina, you are the greatest ever." Wow, that's a huge compliment. The greatest ever. There's been a lot of greats. For me to be listed as one of the greatest ever, I just it's very, very humbling. Appreciate that. Thank you. Russell Hall for another $5 says the argument wasn't that she wouldn't change her mind, but that the talking points would be controlled and used as another gotcha moment for the left. I'm thinking that you're talking about Frosk, and I think that's partly true. But what was mentioned was that, like, if like the quartering had her on, that he wouldn't ever be able to go on her platform and say his piece or whatever, and that they would just like run with whatever they were gonna put out anyway. And that's why I showed the thing I showed about Jordan Peterson handling the BBC interviewer so well, because that's one of the times where you're going in the wolf's den, and showing you're going into in a wolf's den with good faith and knowing that you're going to be talking to someone with bad faith. So understanding that you are going to be speaking to someone with bad faith is a big part of the deal, right? Like understanding that, and then knowing your own principles, and knowing that no matter at the end of the day that you are going to be villainified because that's their schlick. Knowing that, but how you carry yourself and how you do that, it's an art form. And perhaps some people don't think Jeremy was capable of doing it. I think he was, because I think he is someone, like I said, who has grown, and also he's a gamer. He had every right to, he in his own right had every right to want to interview her. And you know what? At the end of the day, he came out looking much better to me, looking at it from the outside, because she went out and said stuff like, nobody wanted to talk to me and blah blah blah. She couldn't now because someone with a huge channel invited her on, and guess what? She didn't even fucking show up. So, um, I don't know. I think she ended up looking like shit anyway. So whatever. And she was gonna end up looking like shit either way, to us, because we already knew what she was gonna say. So I don't know. Either way. Mad G, thank you so much for the 99-cent super sticker. I don't know what it is, but I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nesquick for $1.99 says, thanks for streaming tonight. Love your energy. Aw, thank you. Thank you. I try. And then let's see here. We got Pope Metalicus, thank you so much for the $10. Says, greetings to our lovely host and her glorious guest. Just finished The Legend of Vox Machina on Prime, and I gotta say, I liked it. Not amazing, but fun. Cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. I don't know what that is. That's interesting. Joshua Ferrier for $5 says, enjoyed watching you with the real BBC with the long man. First time watching your solo with Jeremy, earned my sub. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, that was the first time I've ever had Jeremy on. I usually do this show on Wednesday where I talk about just really crazy clown world stuff. And then on Friday, I try to balance it out with my good news show where I talk about good things and how people do good things all the time, which apparently Jeremy doesn't want to talk about. How dare he? But anyways. And then we have this physicality channel says hearty super chat. Aw, heartfelt. Thank you. That's from the quartering, probably. Russell Hall, thank you so much for the $5. Says MSNBC did a propaganda video to show Ukrainian citizens training to prepare for Russian invasion, and the group training them were the Yazis. Ooh, that sounds weird. Ugh, I don't know. I can't trust anything from mainstream. I have to do so much research just to figure out what the hell is going on ever. And I freaking hate mainstream, especially MSNBC. We had Veritas Increbursco for $5. I think I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. I only got the tail end of the combo, but just the fact that you mentioned neoliberals deserves a super chat. Greetings from the degenerate NYC. We talk about neoliberals all the time. They're nuts. Arkansas. Sorry, I'm having so much weird moments right now pronouncing people's names. But thank you so much for the $5. Says, at least you get to have a nice view of the ocean while the world ends. Here goes some shekels for your seashells. And also my condolences about your dad. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the condolences. I appreciate that. And it's funny that you say that, because my husband and I, we had this conversation a while ago when we were in Canada still. And we said to ourselves, because we both have been conspiracy theorists for a very long time, we thought, where would we want to be when the world comes to not an end, but when the rebirth starts, or how do you want, whatever you want to put it, when shit hits the fan, where do you want to be? And I thought to myself, somewhere sunny. And we thought the world was going to go into like a whole changing thing. Well, at least I did, with more like a climate change thing, because I'm a big believer of the ice age. I think it's still going to happen. I think it's still coming. And that's one of the things Gary and I can talk about all day. But it's just one of those things where I think that was going to happen. And I thought if there's going to be an ice age, I want to be somewhere warm, and I want to be near the equator or below it. So that is why I moved. One of the reasons, one of the many many reasons that I chose to live in Cancun was because I wanted to live in somewhere warm. So yeah, I definitely understand that, and I also I never thought it was going to be medical tyranny that did it, but here we are. Medical tyranny was the thing that got us all in the end. And it's funny how things are changing even now. Every day things are changing. Um, so that's interesting. But thank you so much for the super chat. TZ Canadian for $10 says good interview tonight. Nina, condolences for your father. To your father. Thank you, TZ Canadian. I appreciate it. It's been really tough, because he I love my dad. So it's been really, really tough. But I'm doing okay. It was really tough because, well, obviously, like death is tough to deal with, but also like the idea, like my best friends were about to get married and they got married yesterday. And so like I was like kind of like a maid of honor to my best friend, and I had planned her bachelorette party, and I had to try like plan like all these different things. And the night that my dad died, like was the bachelorette party, and I couldn't go. Like after all the planning I had done, I was like so devastated and I couldn't go. And then so like right after that, like Tuesday, which is yesterday was so crazy, is the wedding. It's just like time's going by. It was the wedding, and I like, obviously I had to go to the wedding. Like I couldn't miss the wedding. And so like I went to the wedding, and it was really surreal to be there because a part of me was like really sad about my dad, but a part of me was really, really, really happy for my friends because they're uniting in love, and it was just so good to have they see all the family there. And like my friend, my girlfriend's father had come from Italy, and like seeing her with her dad was really like kind of like a weird moment for me because I just feel like it was really cool that her dad came there from Italy, and like he cried like watching them get married, and he's just like, it was like so sweet. And I told her like, cherish this time, and she's younger than me, so like it's like I feel like she's kind of like my little sister, and I'm watching her grow up. And I feel so weird because time is like, as you're getting older, time is one of those things that is the most precious thing that you have. It's the most precious thing that you'll ever have, really. And so sorry guys, I'm getting a little emotional. So you got to use it wisely, I actually, it was interestingly, I watched Sylvester Stallone talk about time a little bit ago, and it like the night I was preparing the show for Infinite Hope before my dad died, I watched this. Um, I watched this. It was an accident, and it happened, and I saw it, and like it just happened again, and it spoke so much to me. And I'm gonna play it here because I feel like it's something that we all need to listen to once in a while, to like really understand that, um you know uh it's something that we take for granted. Um so here it is. um Here we go. It's a very short video. I think that this is probably one of the greatest things that Sylvester Stallone has ever said, in my humble opinion. Probably one of the wisest things that I've ever heard him say. This right here.
What do you think is the most valuable thing you might have in your life that you really don't pay attention to, especially when you're young, because you just feel you have an abundance of it. It's never ending. Time. Time. And as you get older, you realize time becomes your currency. When you realize there's less runway up ahead than behind, you sometimes learn that too late. So I'm telling you, people, that you really have to be very, very, very stingy with your time. Don't waste it on people that aren't like minded. Don't waste it doing things that you know are not part of your dream plan. Don't waste time being bitter, which I know I've been argumentative. And I understand the meaning of hate, because in the end, it's just waste your most valuable asset, time.
Yeah. Isn't that like truer words? I feel like I've never been spoken. And that's why I really, really appreciated what what Jeremy did tonight, was come on my channel and talk to me, was because like for one thing that, the story he shared about his friend and how, what the struggle that he's going through with his friend, and that, that he was spending that time with his friend. And I truly think that that's really, really important, especially when you have friends that are, kind of like they're ill, or they have certain things that it could be the last time. And so I appreciate that he took that time to come here and talk to me, um, even though he didn't really have to. Like he had, like I said, he didn't really have anything to gain, quote unquote, from talking to me, but he took his time, which I really value, and came and talked to me. So I really appreciate that. If you're listening, Jeremy, thank you. And so John Edgar again, for $2 says, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad." Thank you, John Edgar. I really appreciate it. And Hetty Lamar, hey, it's good to see you. It's been a while. Says youth is wasted on the young. Isn't that the truth? I really, really appreciate. I appreciate. I appreciate this comment. I truly believe that as well. Yes, everybody raise a glass to my father. Uh, Thank you, guys. I saw somebody mention John in the chat. John talks. Interestingly, I also had a good chat with John the other night. Um, uh, and we're gonna be hanging out again real soon. So probably like starting next month, we're gonna be hanging out again. And that's going to be really fun. I have a whole bunch of really cool guests booked for the next couple of Wednesdays. I think next Wednesday, let me see. I think it's going to be Adam Krigler next Wednesday. And I think I've got several really cool guests lined up. So it's going to be really fun to do this show again on Wednesdays, because clown world is always happening, and I need to talk about it. So next Wednesday, yeah, we got Adam Krigler. Is going to be the next one, and I think that's going to be really, really fun. And then John and I are going to be starting back up probably some point next month, and that's going to be really fun to talk to him again. And he's been working his butt off, as you guys can see, probably if you're subscribed to him. And if you're not, go and subscribe to him. What are you doing with your life? Go subscribe to my friend John Talks, who's got amazing content. He's so funny, and so he's got a lot going on, and it's gonna be really good to talk to him again on live. Agent One says 500 like hype. That's insane, you guys. Thank you so much for the amount of love that this stream is getting. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being so respectful. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily like Jeremy. I've gotten a couple comments here and there, for 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 having him on the channel, and again, you guys are welcome to talk about whatever, but I really appreciate that you guys were so respectful tonight, and let the conversation happen, and there wasn't too much crazy drama or anything. And I appreciate Agent One for modding the best that you could. So I think that's it. That's a wrap for the show tonight, guys. Again, I want to thank you all for being here and hanging out with us. It was a really interesting conversation with Jeremy. Thank you again, Jeremy, for coming to hang out. It was awesome. And I hope we can do it again soon. And hopefully we can talk about more lighter topics. Because, fucking World War III, I can't believe it. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around how this whole thing is going to work out with Russia and Ukraine now. That's going to be freaking insane. Canada, there's still a lot of stuff going on in Canada. I'm going to be talking about that next week, probably. Don't you think I've forgotten you, Canada and Trudeau? Don't you think? Just a lot of crazy stuff tonight. But yeah, I definitely think on the last note with regards to Trudeau and everything like that, I think that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. He didn't let the vote get to the Senate. That's interesting to note. He didn't let it get to the Senate. People are pulling their money out of the banks, and then he revoked it. So interesting things happening, and I think interesting things are going to be happening moving forward. He set a very interesting precedents, and I think that moving forward, I think there's convoys happening soon going into the U.S. That's going to be really interesting to watch. Let's see how the U.S. responds. The U.S. is a little bit different than Canada, so we'll see how they're going to respond to everything. And it's just there's still lots that are going to be happening. So, and I'm here for it, and we'll be talking about it again, I'm sure, next week. So everybody, have a great night. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.